The thunderous clash of energy weapons echoed across the alien battlefield as Xyloth, a seasoned Xyloth fighter, engaged in a brutal clash with a formidable human warrior named Kara. What Xyloth couldn't understand was how this primitive Deathworlder could shrug off blasts that would have felled a dozen of his kind. Xyloth's plasma rifle scorched the air as he unleashed a barrage of searing bolts, each one aimed with the precision honed by decades of combat experience. But to his growing frustration, Kara seemed impervious to the withering fire, her muscular frame shielding her from the worst of the onslaught. With each exchange of blows, Xyloth marveled at the human's raw strength and resilience. Kara's fists crashed against his armored exosuit, denting the reinforced metal and causing Xyloth to stagger back. Yet even as the Xyloth's own wounds began to smolder, he could see the human's injuries knitting back together at a remarkable pace. Impossible, Xyloth growled, his four-fingered hands tightening around his weapon. No Deathworlder should be able to withstand such punishment. Kara's lips curled into a grim smile as she dodged another volley of energy blasts. "You have no idea what my kind is capable of, alien," she taunted, her voice laced with a confidence that only served to further fuel Xyloth's bewilderment. The battle raged on, a whirlwind of clashing blades, searing plasma, and the thunderous impact of fists against armor. Xyloth fought with all the skill and ferocity his people were renowned for, yet each time he landed a blow, Kara's wounds would swiftly heal, denying him the decisive advantage he so desperately sought. As the fight stretched on, Xyloth began to notice subtle changes in the human's demeanor. While Kara's initial bravado had been unwavering, he could now detect a glimmer of fatigue in her movements, a slight hesitation that betrayed the toll the battle was taking on her. Seizing the opportunity, Xyloth adjusted his tactics, focusing his attacks on Kara's vulnerable areas, aiming to overwhelm her with a relentless barrage. But try as he might, the human's regenerative abilities continued to confound him, denying him the chance to gain the upper hand. Xyloth's mind raced, his tactical calculations failing to account for the sheer resilience of the Deathworlder before him. He had studied the reports on human physiology, but nothing could have prepared him for the awe-inspiring sight of Kara's wounds closing before his very eyes. "How is this possible?" Xyloth muttered, his four-eyed gaze locked onto the human, searching for any sign of weakness or vulnerability. Kara, sensing the Xyloth's growing frustration, let out a guttural laugh. "You Xyloth think you're so advanced, so superior, but you have no idea the depths of human endurance and adaptability." Xyloth's mandibles clicked together in a display of agitation. "Then enlighten me, Deathworlder. What is the secret to your kind's uncanny regenerative abilities?" Kara's expression hardened, and for a moment, Xyloth thought she might resume the attack. But instead, the human warrior lowered her weapon, her gaze meeting the Xyloth's with a newfound respect. "If you truly wish to understand, then we should call a truce," Kara said, her voice calm and measured. "There is much I can teach you about the wonders of the human body, and perhaps you can share your own people's technological marvels with me." Xyloth hesitated, his instincts telling him to press the advantage and finish the fight. But something in Kara's demeanor, the way she carried herself with a quiet confidence, made him pause. Perhaps in this moment of respite, he could finally uncover the secrets that had eluded him throughout their clash. With a subtle nod, Xyloth lowered his weapon, his four-fingered hand extended in a gesture of truce. "Speak, Deathworlder. I am listening." As the battle raged on, Xyloth watched in awe as Kara's wounds closed at an astounding rate, the human's regenerative capabilities far surpassing anything that Xyloth had ever encountered. Baffled by this display of inhuman resilience, the alien fighter knew he had to uncover the secret behind the Deathworlder's incredible healing power. Kara, sensing the Xyloth's growing curiosity, took a step back, her weapon still at the ready but her stance relaxed. "You truly wish to understand, don't you?" she asked, her piercing gaze studying Xyloth's alien features. Xyloth's four-eyed gaze met Kara's, and he gave a slow nod. I have never seen anything like it. Your kind should not be able to withstand the punishment I have inflicted, yet you continue to fight as if unharmed." He paused, his mandibles clicking together in contemplation. "What is the secret to your regenerative abilities?" Kara regarded the Xyloth warrior for a moment, her expression unreadable. Then, with a deep breath, she began to speak. "The human body is a remarkable thing, Xyloth. We are more than just primitive beings, as you and your kind have deemed us. Our physiology is a testament to millions of years of evolution, forged in the crucible of a world teeming with dangers." Xyloth listened intently, his 4 eyes fixed on the human as she continued. "Our cells are programmed to repair and regenerate at an astonishing rate, a defense mechanism that has allowed us to survive the countless dangers of our homeworld. Cuts, burns, even broken bones. Our bodies can mend them with remarkable efficiency." The Xyloth warrior's brow furrowed in fascination. "But how is this possible? The medical advancements of my people are unparalleled, yet we have never encountered anything like this." Kara's lips curled into a wry smile. "That is because your people have yet to unlock the true potential of the organic form. You are too focused on technological solutions, on replacing the body's natural functions with artificial enhancements." She gestured towards Xyloth's armored exosuit. "Your reliance on such external devices is a crutch, a limitation that we Deathworlders have long since overcome." Xyloth's mandibles clicked together in a sign of contemplation. "Then you are saying that the key to our people's advancement lies not in technology, but in the understanding and mastery of our own biology." "Precisely," Kara replied, a glint of triumph in her eyes. "The human body is a marvel of evolution, a testament to the resilience and adaptability of organic life, and we have only just begun to scratch the surface of its potential." The Xyloth warrior fell silent, his mind racing as he tried to reconcile Kara's words with everything he had been taught about the superiority of his people's technological prowess. Could it be true that the primitive Deathworlders held the key to unlocking new frontiers in medical science and biological enhancement? Sensing the conflict within Xyloth, Kara took a step forward, her expression softening. "I know it is difficult to accept, alien. Your people have long viewed us as backward and inferior. But I assure you, there is much we can learn from one another." Xyloth met Kara's gaze, his 4 eyes narrowing in contemplation. "Then perhaps," he said, his voice measured and thoughtful, "it is time for our people to set aside their differences and work together. To combine the technological might of the Xyloth with the biological wonders of the Deathworlders." He trailed off, the beginnings of an ambitious plan taking shape in his mind. Kara's lips curled into a wry smile, as if she could sense the Xyloth's shifting perspective. "The first step," she said, "is to call a truce. I believe we have much to discuss, Xyloth." Breaking from the battle, Xyloth approached Kara, his weapon lowered in a gesture of truce. To his surprise, the human warrior mirrored his actions, her intense gaze reflecting a curiosity that matched his own. Seizing the opportunity, Xyloth asked the question that had been consuming his thoughts. "How is it possible that you can heal so quickly?" The 2 warriors stood facing each other, the chaos of the ongoing battle raging around them. Yet they seemed to exist in their own private sphere, oblivious to the conflict that had brought them together. Kara studied the Xyloth's alien features, her gaze lingering on his 4 piercing eyes and the intricate mandibles that framed his face. "You truly wish to understand, don't you?" she asked, her voice laced with a hint of surprise. Xyloth gave a slow nod, his own curiosity palpable. "I have never encountered anything like your regenerative abilities. They defy everything I have learned about the limitations of organic life." The human warrior regarded him for a moment, weighing her words carefully. "Then I will tell you, Xyloth, for I believe there is much we can learn from one another." She took a deep breath, her expression turning thoughtful. "As I said, the human body is a marvel of evolution, a testament to the resilience and adaptability of our kind." Xyloth listened intently, his 4 eyes fixed on Kara, absorbing every word. Our cells are programmed to repair and regenerate at an astonishing rate, Kara continued. This is a defense mechanism that has allowed us to survive the countless dangers of our homeworld, a world that, to your kind, would be considered a death world. The Xylith warrior's mandibles clicked together in a sign of contemplation. But how is this possible? The medical advancements of my people are unparalleled, yet we have never encountered anything like this. Kara's lips curled into a wry smile. That is because your people have yet to unlock the true potential of the organic form. You are too focused on technological solutions, on replacing the body's natural functions with artificial enhancements. She gestured towards Xyloth's armored exosuit. Your reliance on such external devices is a crutch, a limitation that we Deathworlders have long since overcome. Xyloth's brow furrowed as he considered Kara's words. Then you are saying that the key to our people's advancement lies not in technology, but in the understanding and mastery of our own biology. Precisely, Kara replied, a glint of triumph in her eyes. The human body is a marvel of evolution, a testament to the resilience and adaptability of organic life, and we have only just begun to scratch the surface of its potential. The Xylith warrior fell silent, his mind racing as he tried to reconcile Kara's words with everything he had been taught about the superiority of his people's technological prowess. Could it be true that the primitive Deathworlders held the key to unlocking new frontiers in medical science and biological enhancement? Sensing the conflict within Xylith, Kara took a step forward, her expression softening. I know it is difficult to accept, alien. Your people have long viewed us as backward and inferior. But I assure you, there is much we can learn from one another. Xyloth met Kara's gaze, his 4 eyes narrowing in contemplation. Then perhaps, he said, his voice measured and thoughtful, it is time for our people to set aside their differences and work together, to combine the technological might of the Xyloth with the biological wonders of the Deathworlders. He trailed off, the beginnings of an ambitious plan taking shape in his mind. Kara's lips curled into a wry smile, as if she could sense the Xyloth's shifting perspective. The first step, she said, is to call a truce. I believe we have much to discuss. Xyloth. Kara, taken aback by the genuine interest in the Xyloth's voice, realized that this was no mere adversary, but a being genuinely seeking to understand the nature of her species. As she began to explain the remarkable adaptations and resilience of the human body, Xyloth listened with rapt attention, his preconceptions about the primitive Deathworlders rapidly crumbling. The human body is a masterpiece of evolution. Xyloth, Kara began, her tone reverent. Our cells are programmed to repair damage at a phenomenal rate, far beyond the capabilities of even the most advanced medical technology. Xyloth's mandibles clicked together in fascination as he leaned in, his 4 eyes studying Kara intently. Explain this to me, he urged. How is it possible that your kind can withstand such punishment? Kara took a deep breath, her gaze never wavering from the Xyloths. It is all a matter of adaptation, Xyloth. Millennia ago, our ancestors faced a world teeming with dangers, predators, natural disasters, even the harsh elements themselves. In order to survive, our bodies evolved remarkable healing abilities, allowing us to mend broken bones, close gaping wounds, and recover from the most grievous of injuries. Xyloth's brow furrowed in contemplation. But how is this possible? The medical breakthroughs of my people have allowed us to extend life, to treat even the most debilitating of ailments. Yet we have never encountered anything akin to the regenerative capabilities you possess. Therein lies the difference, Xyloth, Kara replied, a hint of pride in her voice. While your people have focused on technological solutions, we Deathworlders have learned to harness the inherent power of the organic form. Our bodies are not mere vessels to be repaired, but living, adaptable systems capable of incredible feats of resilience. Xyloth's mandibles clicked together in a sign of deep thought. Then you are saying that the key to unlocking new frontiers in medical science lies not in artificial enhancements, but in understanding and nurturing the body's natural healing processes. Kara nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. Precisely. The human body is a marvel, Xyloth, and we have only begun to unlock its full potential. Imagine what could be achieved if our peoples were to combine their knowledge and resources, the technological prowess of the Xyloth and the biological insights of the Deathworlders. The Xyloth warrior's 4 eyes widened as the implications of Kara's words began to sink in. "You speak of a collaboration, a joining of our 2 civilizations," he asked, his voice tinged with both skepticism and a newfound sense of wonder. "I do," Kara affirmed, her gaze steady and unwavering. "For too long, our peoples have been locked in conflict, blinded by preconceptions and assumptions. But now, in this moment, we have the opportunity to forge a new path, one where our differences are celebrated, not reviled, and our combined strengths are harnessed to push the boundaries of what is possible." Xyloth fell silent, his mind racing as he contemplated the magnitude of Kara's proposal. The idea of setting aside the millennia-old animosity between their peoples seemed almost unfathomable, and yet, as he gazed into the human's eyes, he saw a glimmer of possibility, a vision of a future where the Xyloth and the Deathworlders stood united, their knowledge and abilities intertwined in a potent alliance. "If what you say is true," Xyloth murmured, his voice laced with a newfound respect, "then I believe our peoples have much to learn from one another. The question is, how do we begin?" Enthralled by Kara's insights, Xyloth found himself sharing the technological and medical advancements of his own people, eager to learn from her knowledge. The 2 warriors, once locked in mortal combat, now engaged in a lively exchange, their shared understanding and newfound respect forging an unlikely bond in the midst of the ongoing battle. "The Xyloth have made great strides in the field of nanotechnology," Xyloth began, his mandibles clicking together as he spoke. "Our medical nanites are capable of repairing cellular damage at a rate far exceeding traditional methods." Kara's brows rose in interest. "Nanotechnology, you say? That is indeed an impressive feat of engineering. How do these nanites function within the body?" Xyloth's 4 eyes gleamed with excitement as he launched into an explanation. "The nanites are programmed to identify and target sites of injury or illness. They travel through the bloodstream, repairing damaged cells and tissues at the molecular level." "Fascinating," Kara murmured, her gaze unwavering. "And does this technology require any form of external intervention, or can the nanites operate autonomously within the body?" "Ah, that is the true marvel of our advancements," Xyloth replied, a hint of pride in his voice. "The nanites are self-sustaining, drawing power from the body's own biological processes. They can operate indefinitely, constantly monitoring and repairing any damage that occurs." Kara nodded, her mind already racing with the implications. "So, in essence, your people have created a form of artificial regeneration, one that mimics and enhances the body's natural healing abilities." "Precisely," Xyloth affirmed. "Our medical nanites have allowed us to extend lifespans, treat even the most devastating injuries, and push the boundaries of what was once thought possible for our kind." The human warrior fell silent for a moment, her gaze shifting to the ongoing battle that raged around them. "And yet, even with such advanced technology, you still struggle against the resilience of my kind," she murmured, her lips quirking into a wry smile. Xyloth's mandibles clicked together in a gesture of contemplation. "That is why I am so intrigued by your regenerative capabilities, Kara. What you possess is not mere technology, but a deep, intrinsic understanding of the human body and its remarkable potential for self-healing." Kara met his gaze, her expression thoughtful. "You are correct, Xyloth. The key to our resilience lies not in artificial enhancements, but in the evolutionary adaptations that have allowed the human body to thrive in the face of adversity." "Then," Xyloth said, his voice tinged with a newfound sense of possibility, "perhaps our peoples can learn from one another, combining the technological prowess of the Xyloth with the biological insights of the Deathworlders. Imagine the breakthroughs we could achieve." Kara's eyes widened, and for a moment, Xyloth could see the gears turning in her mind. "You speak of a collaboration, a joining of our civilizations," she asked, her voice almost hesitant. "I do," Xyloth replied, his 4 eyes gleaming with determination. "For too long, our peoples have been at odds, driven by fear and misunderstanding. But now, here in the midst of this battle, I see the potential for a future where we stand united, our differences celebrated rather than reviled." Kara studied the Xyloth warrior, her gaze searching his face for any hint of deception. But all she saw was a genuine curiosity and a deep respect that she had never expected to find in an alien adversary. "If what you say is true," Kara murmured, "then I believe our peoples have much to gain from one another. The question is, how do we begin?" Xyloth's mandibles clicked together in a gesture of resolve. "We start by calling a truce, Kara. And then we begin to forge a future where the Xyloth and the Deathworlders stand as allies, not enemies." As the fighting raged around them, Xyloth and Kara realized that their shared understanding and newfound respect had the power to transcend the conflict. They made a bold decision to call for a ceasefire, determined to bring their peoples together to forge a lasting peace based on mutual understanding and cooperation. The thunderous exchange of energy blasts and the clash of metal against flesh gradually faded as the battlefield fell silent. Xyloth and human warriors alike paused, their weapons lowered in confusion, as Xyloth and Kara stepped forward, their hands raised in a gesture of truce. "Hear me, warriors of the Xyloth and Deathworlder alike." Xyloth's voice rang out, commanding the attention of the stunned combatants. "This battle has gone on long enough. It is time to set aside our differences and work towards a future of peace and cooperation." Kara stood beside the Xyloth warrior, her gaze sweeping across the silent troops. "For too long, our peoples have been locked in conflict, blinded by preconceptions and fear. But today we have the opportunity to forge a new path, one where our unique strengths are celebrated and combined for the betterment of all." Murmurs of confusion and disbelief rippled through the ranks, as both Xyloth and human warriors struggled to comprehend the unexpected turn of events. Xyloth raised his hand, silencing the growing clamor. "I know this may seem unthinkable to many of you," he continued, his 4 eyes scanning the crowd. "But I have come to realize that the key to our advancement lies not in endless conflict, but in the sharing of knowledge and the forging of alliances." Kara stepped forward, her stance resolute. The human body possesses remarkable regenerative capabilities, far beyond anything that Xyloth have achieved through technology. And yet, the Xyloth have made astounding breakthroughs in fields like nanotechnology, which could revolutionize our own medical practices. Xyloth nodded in agreement, his mandibles clicking together in a gesture of emphasis. "Precisely. By combining the biological insights of the Deathworlders with the technological prowess of the Xyloth, we can push the boundaries of what is possible, unlocking new frontiers in science, medicine, and beyond." The Xyloth and human warriors fell silent, their expressions a mix of skepticism and cautious intrigue. The idea of their sworn enemies suddenly becoming allies was a concept they had never even considered, let alone witnessed. Kara's gaze swept across the crowd, her voice carrying a tone of unwavering conviction. "I know this is a lot to take in, but I implore you all to consider the possibilities. Imagine a future where our peoples work together, where our differences are celebrated rather than reviled, and where the combined strength of our civilizations can bring about unprecedented advancements." Xyloth stepped forward, his 4 eyes shining with determination. "We are calling for a ceasefire, a temporary truce that will allow us to begin the process of establishing a lasting peace. It is time for the Xyloth and the Deathworlders to set aside their differences and forge a new cooperative path forward." The silence that followed was deafening, as the warriors on both sides grappled with the weight of Xyloth and Kara's words. Then, slowly, a lone Xyloth soldier stepped forward, his weapon lowered in a gesture of acquiescence. Soon, others followed suit, both human and Xyloth, until the once raging battlefield was filled with the sound of weapons being set aside. Xyloth and Kara exchanged a knowing glance, their lips curling into small, triumphant smiles. The first steps towards a new era of cooperation had been taken, and the future they had envisioned was now within reach. The battle that had once threatened to tear the two worlds apart had instead become the catalyst for a profound transformation. Xyloth and Kara, the unlikely ambassadors of their respective civilizations, paved the way for a future where the Xyloth and the Deathworlders would no longer see each other as enemies, but as allies in the vast expanse of the cosmos. As the ceasefire took hold, the initial confusion and disbelief among the Xyloth and human warriors slowly gave way to a growing sense of curiosity and cautious optimism. Xyloth and Kara, standing side by side, represented a living embodiment of the possibility of cooperation between their peoples. "This is an unprecedented moment in the history of our civilizations," Xyloth announced, his four eyes sweeping across the assembled troops. "For too long, we have been blinded by our differences, but now we have the opportunity to embrace our unique strengths and forge a brighter future." Kara stepped forward, her gaze unwavering. "The Deathworlders have long been misunderstood and underestimated by the Xyloth. But as Xyloth has discovered, we possess remarkable biological adaptations that could be the key to unlocking new frontiers in science and medicine." The Xyloth warrior nodded in agreement, his mandibles clicking together in an emphatic gesture. Indeed, the regenerative capabilities of the human body are a marvel to behold. And yet, the Xyloth have made significant advancements in the field of nanotechnology, which could potentially enhance and accelerate the healing process. A murmur of interest rippled through the gathered troops as both Xyloth and human warriors began to recognize the potential of such a collaboration. "We are calling for an end to the hostilities between our peoples," Xyloth continued, his voice carrying a note of determination. "It is time to set aside our differences and work together towards a common goal: the advancement of our civilizations, the betterment of our societies, and the exploration of the boundless wonders that await us in the stars." Kara's expression mirrored Xyloth's, her gaze unwavering. "The Deathworlders have much to offer the Xyloth, just as your people possess invaluable technological and scientific knowledge that could transform our own world. By joining forces, we can unlock new possibilities, push the boundaries of what is considered possible, and create a future where our peoples thrive side by side." The initial skepticism and disbelief slowly gave way to a growing sense of intrigue and even cautious optimism among the assembled troops. The idea of their sworn enemies becoming allies was a concept that few had ever imagined, let alone witnessed. Xyloth raised his hand, silencing the murmurs that had started to ripple through the crowd. "I know that this is a lot to take in, and that many of you may still harbor doubts and reservations, but I implore you all to consider the possibilities that lie before us." He turned to Kara, his four eyes shining with a newfound respect. "The Deathworlder and the Xyloth, working together, think of what we could accomplish. Our combined knowledge, our shared determination, and our complementary strengths could usher in a new era of unprecedented progress and discovery." Kara nodded, her lips curling into a small, triumphant smile. "The battle that once threatened to tear our worlds apart has now become the catalyst for a remarkable transformation. We stand before you, Xyloth and I, as the ambassadors of a future where the Xyloth and the Deathworlders are no longer enemies, but allies in the vast expanse of the cosmos." The silence that followed was palpable, as the warriors on both sides grappled with the weight of Xyloth and Kara's words. Then, slowly, a lone Xyloth soldier stepped forward, his weapon lowered in a gesture of acquiescence. Soon, others followed suit, both human and Xyloth, until the once raging battlefield was filled with the sound of weapons being set aside. The news of the truce spread like wildfire, shocking both the Xyloth and the Deathworlder forces. Xyloth and Kara, now hailed as unlikely ambassadors, stood shoulder to shoulder, resolute in their mission to bridge the gap between their civilizations and usher in a new era of cooperation and prosperity. As the initial disbelief and skepticism began to subside, The Xyloph and human warriors found themselves drawn to the charismatic pair, their curiosity piqued by the promise of a future where their peoples might work together instead of being locked in endless conflict. Xyloth and Kara wasted no time in initiating the first steps towards a lasting alliance. They convened a series of diplomatic meetings, inviting the highest-ranking officers and officials from both sides to participate in open discussions and information-sharing sessions. For too long, we have been adversaries, blinded by our differences and our preconceptions about one another, Xyloth stated, his 4 eyes sweeping across the assembled delegates. But now we have the opportunity to change that, to forge a new path forward that benefits both the Xyloph and the Deathworlders. Kara nodded in agreement, her gaze unwavering. The human body possesses remarkable regenerative capabilities, as Xyloth has experienced firsthand. And yet, the Xyloph have made astounding advancements in fields like nanotechnology, which could revolutionize our own medical practices. The Xyloph and human delegates listened intently, their expressions shifting from initial skepticism to growing intrigue as Xyloth and Kara outlined their vision for a collaborative future. By combining our knowledge and resources, we can push the boundaries of what is possible, Xyloth continued, his mandibles clicking together in a gesture of emphasis. Imagine the breakthroughs we could achieve in fields like healthcare, space exploration, and beyond. Kara stepped forward, her voice filled with conviction. The Deathworlders have long been misunderstood and underestimated by the Xyloph, but we possess a resilience and adaptability that could be the key to unlocking new frontiers in science and technology. The gathered delegates exchanged uncertain glances, the weight of Xyloth and Kara's words slowly sinking in. The idea of their sworn enemies becoming allies was a concept that few had ever entertained, let alone witnessed firsthand. This is an unprecedented opportunity, Xyloth declared, his 4 eyes shining with determination. We are calling for the establishment of a joint research and development initiative, where the brightest minds from both our civilizations can come together to explore the limitless potential of our combined knowledge and capabilities. Kara's lips curled into a small, triumphant smile. The battle that once threatened to tear our worlds apart has now become the catalyst for a remarkable transformation. We stand before you, Xyloth and I, as the ambassadors of a future where the Xyloph and the Deathworlders are no longer enemies, but allies in the vast expanse of the cosmos. The murmurs of skepticism and disbelief gradually gave way to a growing sense of excitement and anticipation among the delegates. The prospect of collaboration, of harnessing the unique strengths of their respective civilizations, was a concept that had the power to captivate and inspire. Slowly, one by one, the Xyloph and human delegates began to voice their support, their initial reservations giving way to a newfound optimism and a desire to explore the possibilities that lay before them. Xyloth and Kara exchanged a knowing glance, their eyes shining with the promise of a future where their peoples would no longer be adversaries, but partners in the pursuit of knowledge, progress, and the boundless wonders of the cosmos.